Welcome to the Selling with Influence podcast, where we show you how to sell more of your products and services consistently, predictably, and profitably without having to offer discounts, quote lower margins, or compete on price in a race to the bottom just to get the business. My name is Dwayne Huff, founder and CEO of Influence Seminars, and I am your host. Hey guys, super excited to bring you this second interview episode of the Selling with Influence podcast. I have a very special guest today, a good friend of mine. We've done business together. I've actually worked for him and worked with him. He's a CEO of Yellow Jacket, which you can find them at yellowjacketcase.com. I don't want to spoil it for you. He's going to talk a little bit about this. But this guy, the reason I brought him on, other than just being a tremendous human being, he's an amazing salesperson. He started at the bottom in sales, worked his way up to president of the company, to CEO of the company, to owner of the company, bought the company, sold the company, transitioned into a new company, has been frontline just like you and me selling, and has some great wisdom to share with us. I'm so excited for you to hear from my good friend, Mr. Joey Jobe.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, Joey. Thanks for joining me, man.
You got it, brother.
Enjoy it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So I'm so glad to have you here on this episode because we talk about selling in a different way of doing it that most people just are not in that space, right? And something different and unique perspective-wise. You know, that's why I wanted to have you on here because your selling career goes way back. Right? Yep. And it's brought you on a journey that most people do not see. You've been very blessed and very fortunate.
Thank you.
And so I want to highlight that, but without jumping in the middle of it, I just want to bring us all the way back to the beginning of your sales career. What were you doing before you were selling? Before you entered the sales profession, what were you doing?
So like, if I go back to, my youth, high school grad,
yep,
no opportunity for college. And so I just went straight to work.
Yeah.
First started out in the oil patch.
Yeah.
Mid 80s, it was dead. So.
Okay.
And I just, I figured, I need to try to get some kind of experience to build a resume.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to try to do something in management or sales.
Okay.
And I applied around for different things. First job I got was actually a management job. But then after that,
yeah,
I wanted to give my hand a try at sales.
Okay.
So I got a sales job at Pepsi-Cola in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Which was, a distant second behind Coca-Cola in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
All right. But I was a Pepsi sales guy for a few years.
Nice. Did not know that.
And, it's back then, of course, I didn't know what I know now.
Yeah.
But I was very motivated. I was very driven. I worked really hard.
Right.
And there was no training at the company to train you how to sell.
Right.
Which is a problem, I think, industry-wide. I don't think most companies invest proper training into their people.
Gotcha.
I think that's a common thing.
That's going to be said.
And so I worked hard. Like most sales guys would stop at 3 o'clock in the day. I would keep going, get in as many sales calls as I could consistently.
So trying at front to outwork everybody.
Absolutely. I set some goals, but not necessarily, super specific targets.
Right.
But I had goals like,
sure,
I wanted to be the most successful sales guy in our group in terms of, sales, what sales were.
Sure.
I wanted to be, the obvious choice in the event there was an opportunity for promotion. So I just worked really, really hard. Of course, I wanted to make more money. And so I was super driven. I never accepted the fact that we were a distant second in Baton Rouge to Coca-Cola. So, if you have a mindset of defeat, you're not going to really be successful. So in my brain, I got up every day to take on that giant.
Yeah.
And battled them.
Yeah.
And battled them. I would pick up shelf space. I would pick up end caps. I would pick up displays that other sales guys weren't picking up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they had the confidence to ask for those things because we were such a distant gap between us and Coke.
Yeah. So from the beginning, it started with a belief that, hey, even though it looks like this, I know it can be different. Yeah. As opposed to some people coming out of the gate saying, we're kind of the underdog here. I don't know if we're going to be able to win.
And I was the only, not bragging, but I was young and I just worked hard, but consistently the only sales guy that hit the numbers. and exceeded the numbers.
That's good. And so you got that foundation.
So I had a work ethic, and I had a passion and a belief and a loyalty to my brand. You know.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola was not allowed in my house.
Okay.
It wasn't.
You were a product of the product.
Hey, bro, and I liked Coca-Cola until I went to work for Pepsi.
That's great.
You know, like my wife at the time, she had this babysitter who I came home from work and there was a 2-liter in the refrigerator of Coke.
Okay.
And I'm out there all day, bro. I'm leaving it on the mat for Pepsi, and I'm battling those son of a guns. And respectfully, I don't.
Of course.
Respectfully.
Okay. Yeah, business competition.
But
yeah,
you know, we battling.
Yeah, for sure.
And I walked in, opened the fridge. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Took the Coke, took the top off, dumped it in the sink.
That's good.
Babysitter comes the next day. What is going on? Why does she keep dumping out my Cokes? And Anna goes, you need to stop bringing those Cokes in there.
Because
don't drink
Coke is not paying the bill.
Not allowed in the house.
Pepsi.
So loyalty is important, and just a passion and a belief in what you're doing, and
very cool.
You know.
So it laid a good foundation
those
for
things you. It was my first sales job, and I learned an incredible lot just from what you can do yourself.
Yeah.
Just by self-training, self-study, read some books about sales. I didn't know the psychology of sales and all that. That's when I really started studying that as a young person.
And so that foundation was laid right there. Where did that take you to your next sales gig? What was the next sales gig?
After that, I sold office equipment, which was brutal.
Yes, it is. I was there. I've been there. Right. You probably did a lot better than I did.
It's incredible, though, because each different thing that I did helped me grow.
Yeah.
And with office equipment, the tough part about that is you're making cold calls in offices with no solicitation sign on the thing.
I've been there.
And look, dude, and you have to get to the point where you're comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And dude, I'd do all day long, and I'd get fussed. It says no solicitation. And I would say, well, actually, the definition of solicitation is trying to sell you something.
Right. I'm not doing
trying
it.
to sell you anything.
Yeah.
Just want to see if y'all need anything.
Yeah.
And some people would like it. Some people would laugh. Okay, charming young man, whatever. Yeah. All right, we're looking for a copier, okay? Or someone would say, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, of course.
But whatever. I had the courage to continue.
Yeah.
And did that for a couple of years.
For a couple of years. So you stayed in there a couple of years, pushed through that discomfort. Let's talk about that for a second.
Had some real success.
Pushed
to the point I was fearless at cold calling.
What?
Fearless. Enjoyed it.
But let's back up here for a second.
In it. Okay. I did. I loved it. But I got to where I loved cold calling.
Okay, good.
Everybody thought I was crazy.
I've never been that guy.
I actually like it.
I've never been that guy. So would you say, okay, so did it turn into a challenge, or did you push through and you became numb to the...
It was just gratifying for me to go into an office that said no solicitation.
Yeah.
And walk out with an opportunity quote.
That's good.
That was like...
How long did it take you to overcome the discomfort?
Yeah, you got to do it a lot lot of times.
And so you push yourself to continue going.
Just keep going.
Wow. So on the other side of that,
to where I actually enjoy it.
Really?
It was actually a challenge.
Really?
To go in there, and my goal was to leave with either an opportunity or a business card or just a friendly encounter with someone.
Very cool.
Just a friendly exchange.
So you let go of the outcome.
I had little goals.
Little goals.
I just want to get in here and interact in a positive way.
Right.
With that no solicitation style that wall.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's good. And I wish I would have had this conversation with you way back in my days when I sold copiers, because it didn't go that well for me. But it opened a lot of doors. So so you did that. Bring me to the point where you entered the valve industry.
So from there, I had another sales job. I sold chemicals, and then from there, I met Mr. Maggard.
Yep.
With the Cell Maggard. We were going to church together.
Okay.
And he offered me a role in the company.
Now you didn't immediately accept that, did you?
No, I told him because I was doing really good at the chemical company.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I had just won a national contest. I won a cruise.
Nice.
Yeah, top
so you're feeling pretty good.
I just got it.
That's good.
Just won the cruise.
Right.
And Maggard offered me a job. I said, man, I just got this cruise and I'm doing really good. And he said, Joe, let me give you some advice. He said, before you say no, why don't you look into this industry and this opportunity I'm offering you versus the stretch path with what you're on.
Yeah.
But, I'd have to be an idiot to not do that. To not think about that. And he did me a huge favor.
Yes.
Because I didn't have to do a lot of research to realize All right, so like the next day, all right, let's talk some more, you know?
Yeah.
And he hired me, and he hired me as an inside salesperson.
Yeah.
And I really was totally unfamiliar with the industry and the products. And he told me that, I told him I wanted to be outside sales, and he goes, you're going to do inside for 2 years.
Right.
Till you learn the products.
Yeah.
And I said, Ernie, it's not going to take me 2 years to learn the products. A little overconfident.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes, let's talk in 6 months. So 6 months, sure enough, like clockwork, I went and talked to him and said, all right, boss, it's been about 6 months. And he goes, yeah, and? I said, I need the whole 2 years to really know my stuff, to really be ready.
So you agreed with that?
So I agreed with him. I appreciated what he said.
That's good. That's good. But he gave you a chance.
Because the products are technical, they're complex. It's engineered products. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I dug in and dug in and dug in and dug in.
For 2 years.
And learned my products.
That's good.
And to the day, in 2 years, he did what he said. He put me outside sales.
Very nice.
And they gave me some garbage accounts. That's what you do.
Yeah. Gave you some garbage accounts.
And I did really, really well in those garbage accounts.
Very nice.
And it was fun.
And how long did you stay in that role?
So I was in a sales role there for, I don't remember now, 5 or 6 years. And then they promoted me to VP of Sales.
VP of Sales.
Then I became president.
President.
And then CEO and owner and all that stuff.
Well,
it was a 10-year ride from hire to president seat. Which was totally blows my mind, because I didn't go into it expecting that or thinking that would be an outcome.
Right. So this path, that's extraordinary, because you almost passed up the opportunity. And you got some great advice from the man that said, look, do not pass up an opportunity you have not investigated. Yep. You realized it was a good opportunity.
But I had just won a cruise. Man.
You just won a cruise. You were on the top of your game.
I had
in your mind.
Just won that cruise.
Right.
I didn't even go on it yet.
Oh, okay.
You imagine that? And then he talks me into quitting. So I win the cruise. I'm like, hey, I'm going to give my 2-week notice. They blew their mind. What are you talking about?
You just won a cruise
and some money and this and that.
Right.
I said, well, sorry, I'm going to take the cash, please. I'm out of here.
Yeah. You know? And you took the cash. So, okay, good. So, and I don't want to glaze over this, because, and I invite people to go back and listen to that journey, but you found yourself sales VP, president, and eventually owner. Take us into that journey, because you had opportunities, but then you also, a different level of selling. You had some opportunities that you had to navigate, right? To be able to ascend to where you were in that company, president, CEO. Take us on that journey as you would.
Well, it was the first time that I went from I'll tell you that salespeople who sell anything, really, really, really should take it very serious to be the master of what they're selling. I mean, really know what you're selling, the ins and outs, how to apply it, answer the question, how to sell your company, be like, an exemplary ambassador of your product and your company. Yeah. And know your stuff. And most salespeople,
well, let's not glaze over that.
Don't put in the work.
In your opinion, what does that take?
So it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of dedication, particularly depending on what you're selling. Like in the oil and gas industry, I was selling engineered products. Yeah. And so I took it upon myself to actually learn the equations, learn how to use an engineering calculator. My kids will tell you. Yeah. I'd come home from work, we'd eat dinner, and then I would sit at the kitchen table at 10 o'clock at night, practicing, studying, reading.
So you didn't do this between 8 to 5. You took responsibility to go above and beyond.
And this was the 2 years prepping to go in outside sales. Because when I went outside sales, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to know what I was talking about. Okay. I wanted to sit down with an engineer and know it better than he could possibly know it.
That's good.
And do the math and do the formulas and not rely on a sizing program and know my stuff.
What were your counterparts doing after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, I actually saw this, and if some of them are listening, I apologize, but what I saw was a culture of kind of laziness. Yeah. And customers calling for something and then going and picking up the opportunity, bring it back, get it quoted, no real true discipline, work ethic, initiative, tenacity to learn, to be an expert. And we were the number 2 brand in the industry behind a giant. Same mindset, Pepsi, Coke all over again. Sure. I'm taking those guys down. Yeah. So it was a way to motivate myself in a positive way, respectful competition. Absolutely. Respectful competition.
And going back to what you said, I hope nobody's listening to this.
They drove me. They motivated me.
Okay.
Because I want to be bigger and better than them.
Yes, absolutely. So you were fighting the
for
big
my company.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you were fighting. And it's not to dig on anybody. I think across industries, my perspective, I worked with over 200 companies in the sales training industry, and what I've seen is that across the industry, you got A players, B players, and C players when it comes to sales. The A players are driven, many times self-driven. The B players can be led and mentored, and sometimes the C players rise. But we have that. It's a natural situation.
I think the problem that I see, and when we grew to be what we became at some point, we had 50 outside sales guys, 50, and about 10 specialists, product specialists, so about 60 outside salespeople. And there were probably 20% of them that just left it on the mat.
They were comfortable.
Look, and a lot of people, it's crazy because a lot of people would ask me, what did you do to be successful?
Right.
And I'll take the time to explain it.
Sure.
But very few people take the time to do it. And I've had a couple that's super cool to watch. Because when they do the work, they excel.
But they're few and far between, aren't they?
They thrive. And a lot of people, unfortunately, when they get the job that they want, they're all excited about that.
Sure.
And they do just basically the minimum that's required of them to keep their job. And there's not a lot of people that just have this ferocious tenacity to be the best at their craft and do the best that they can possibly do for their family, their company, and just try to be an expert in that industry as a whole.
Sure.
Just think big about what you can do with yourself and by yourself.
Absolutely.
And it will become that.
That's cool.
But most people don't do it.
You're absolutely right. I remember a conversation you and I had, just to pull the curtain back here. I used to work for Joey at a company, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Joey and I were having a conversation. I was about to do a negotiation skills training for a group of salespeople, and I remember one of the guys that was coming into class, and I didn't know this back then. I learned about this years later, but you had told me there was a guy that had just left. He was about to go to a competitor, and you said, Dwayne, I don't want that guy in the class because I said, why? You said because he's going to our competition, which I get and I understand. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, Joey, I teach a lot of people these concepts, but very few of them apply it. And that's what I was thinking. I think that's a conversation we had. So don't worry about it. He's not going to apply it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And later, years later, I heard somebody say, if I give everybody my book with all of my stuff in it, and 100 people of them have the book, 30 of them are going to read it, 5 of them are going to take 1 or 2 ideas and think it's a great idea. 2 or 3 might actually apply it and get a result. So there are a few far between.
It's interesting.
And that's what you're saying.
But what's really cool about that?
Okay.
And this is why I love talking to young people today. I love talking to 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds.
Sure.
That have no idea what they want to be. Don't even have a great opportunity to go to college. Might come from a rough background, think there's no hope and there's no future.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, those people can do these things well and carve their own future out in the United States of America, bro.
Absolutely.
This day.
Because
most people are mediocre. Most people are doing the bare minimum. I didn't mean to cuss. You need to clip it.
I'll put explicit on this episode.
Lindsay said, Joey, do not cuss. My girlfriend said, I'm going to drop some F-bombs. I'm sorry. But most people, either do what's required, maybe a little extra. Very few people really go all in with what their own potential and their own capabilities are. And then if they do, because most people don't, it's easy to stand out. It's easy to rise above. And if you're not in that right company that recognizes you for that right environment, then you move to another company that does recognize you.
Absolutely.
But if you're not giving 100%, how do you know if it's you or the company?
That's correct.
If you're always giving 100% and you always leaving it on the mat, you will learn that the company behind you doesn't have the right product, the right backing, the right this, the right that, the right message, the right something. Because you're doing your part 100%. Whereas most people always blame the company, and they're not doing their part either.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, not only that, and then you find some people who they can't seem to find that right fit, but they are driven, like you were driven. Those are the people who become entrepreneurs. They're like, I can do this.
I'm gonna tell you, Dwayne, it's really cool to talk about this stuff because when I was a Pepsi guy,
yeah,
in my wildest dreams, I never imagined I'd be the CEO of a company.
Yeah.
In my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
When I was hired at the entry level of the Cell Mag, I never in my wildest dreams thought that in 10 years I'd be the president. And I didn't set out to be. That wasn't my goal. I'm going to be the president in 10 years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
My goals were small. I want to be the best, most valuable to the company inside salesperson that they have. I want to know my product. I want people to come to me with the questions because I got the answers because I'm putting in the work. Just a little goal. If there's an opportunity to promote, I want to be the obvious choice. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
And then I would get that promotion.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned, it worked.
Because you became the person.
Yeah, and then every level I got to, I had that same mentality.
Yeah.
Every one.
Wow.
And every time I got that next move up, and that was really the goal. If there's an opportunity for promotion, I want to be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
I don't want, it to be even a second thought as to who should we move into that role. Mm-hmm. And that was always my mindset.
That's good.
And in 10 years I was president, and I never would have imagined that.
10 years.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
Part owner, yeah.
And part owner. Yeah, man. It's like we never know what kind of opportunities are going to open up in front of us, and so it's like do the very best you can right here with what you got, and the doors will open.
And a lot of people don't realize too, though, that if they leave it on the mat, they can be rewarded. So people are like, they don't care about me, blah blah blah. To be successful in anything, you have to have positive vibration. You cannot walk around being a negative person and get anywhere in life.
Yeah, you're right.
It ain't gonna happen. It's about your vibration, your attitude. It is not about skin color. It is vibration.
I agree 100%. Because you attract like.
Absolutely.
And you repel. I heard.
If you're positive and you exude positivity,
yeah,
and do everything else with that, things will happen for you in this country. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I heard somebody.
Even if you come from nothing.
I heard somebody say one time that a positive person can take about 2 seconds in a room with a negative person and vice versa. Because the vibration is just repel. But I want to highlight what you just said there. Anybody in this country, it doesn't depend on skin color. It doesn't depend. It's about attitude, work ethic,
and vibration,
and vibration, and ownership.
Energy, positive energy, ownership too.
Personal ownership. Listen, even if I work for a company, I need to show up every day like I own that company.
That's a good word.
And treat it.
Well, not just that. You own every opportunity you get. All right. So if a customer gives you an opportunity,
yep,
own it. I know you're gonna have to bring back the thing to the office for somebody to quote it.
Yeah.
Well, just drop it off. Okay, he's quoting it. We'll see what happens after he quotes it. No, that's your opportunity till you get the order, start to finish. You make sure you look at the quote before it goes in. You make sure you know what's in there. You can communicate when he calls you about it. You follow it all the way down to the end, and then after they buy it and after they deliver it, you make sure he's happy with it. Own the opportunity. Too many salespeople. Well, I got the quote. Throw it the inside sale. Next, we'll get another quote.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. We face that. Watch out for that dagger behind you. Luckily, it's not a real one.
That's all right.
Yeah. So okay. So
ownership's huge.
Ownership's huge, but here's the thing. Ownership's huge, but sales, unlike any other profession out there, gives us the ability, if we do what you are talking about right there, literally to write our own ticket.
Absolutely.
And what we want.
Absolutely.
And the only limit is our attitude and our work ethic.
Yourself.
Yeah.
You can carve your future out. Because most people aren't doing. If everybody was doing what I'm saying, the opportunity wouldn't be as big.
Right.
But they're not.
They're not.
So therefore it is.
So it's hard work, but it's not it's not miles, it's inches to make a difference.
It is, but it takes incredible discipline, consistency. Mm-hmm. Every day. You can't really take a day off. If you take a day off, you're taking a day off. But I'm talking about if you're showing up at work, you don't take the day off. You're at work 100% all day, every day, till the day's over. You got to be consistent, and you have to have passion. You got to believe in what you're selling. You have to, and you have to have a positive energy. If you're negative, people don't even want you around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your journey when you start and where you are right now, and you see how sales has transformed, changed, evolved. And let's talk about fundamental sales principles, because you talked about it being a psychology, right? But fundamental sales principles. So I want you to pull apart what used to work in sales that's no longer working, and what's working now.
Well, I think there are a lot of things that are very consistent. Okay, even back then till now, that are the same. And maybe I'm not going to be able to answer your question perfectly, but I think about all the different types of products I've sold in the different industries, and some of them being just a straight price product or a brand or a commodity or an engineered. There's all these different situations that I've been blessed to be in, and what's consistent are these principles that I'll tell you about. If you know what I'm saying, if you have a work ethic and a positive attitude, and you learn your product, and you carry yourself in a positive way, and you're kind, and you smile, and you're not out there trying to sell something, you know.
Sure.
I think that's an older thing where people are always trying to sell stuff. I think it's about presenting things in a way where people want to buy from you, right? Get to know the person, get to know their world, understand, you know, them. Take time to listen to them and what they're going through and what's interesting to them and what they care about. Don't go in there with a goal to sell them something, you know what I'm saying? Because then people don't like to be sold. And I think that's probably the biggest change is because back in a lot of the sales training that I took over the years was trying to manipulate somebody into buying something when in reality people don't want to be sold. You know,
they want to buy stuff.
They want to buy stuff, and you can actually present yourself that way. But you have to know your products and your company, and you have to know the answers to the questions, and you have to be consistent. You have to follow up. Do what, you know, a lot of times sales guys make promises on sales call. Well, I'm going to come back and see you next week. And they don't. If you say you're going to do something, do it every time. Do it every time. That drives me crazy.
And it erodes trust. And you know, in some of the things.
So there's some inconsistencies. I mean, there's a lot of things that are the same, but I do think some of the training methods are different based upon. There's been the world has changed so much, you know, with social media, and people are bombarded with ads and bombarded with people trying to sell them stuff.
Content, information, sales pitches,
it's
marketing.
Yep.
So with that being said, that was a great setup for the fact that the world has changed. That fly is wanting to be in the video. But it's changed a lot, and COVID just kind of turned everything upside down on its head, and we find ourselves having to connect, build relationships, sell our products and services, offer them in a completely different environment. So what changes have you seen since, say, March of 2020?
I'll tell you what, it's COVID has been absolutely brutal and devastating for a lot of people, a lot of companies. I can't tell you that a positive mindset can turn around everything that happened with COVID. Right? Being honest. I do know people that are in sales in various industries through COVID. And I guess it depends on where you are in your career, how many relationships do you already have built. If you're just starting, man, it's tough. If you're just starting out and for a company or selling and you really don't have the relationships built yet, and you're trying to talk to people during COVID when they're not letting people come to the facilities and this and that, that's got to be really, really hard. Really brutal. And there are those that already have a customer base built up where people do like to buy from them, and they still, some of them have done fairly well through COVID, you know. And so, you know, but I would say if you're you're the new guy, the young guy that, you know, don't have a rapport built yet for the products you're selling or whatever, I would absolutely take this time to self-study. I'd make more phone calls a day. I would do more work. Everything you can possibly do in this time to better yourself and to creatively push your product. Try everything. The worst thing you can do is just say, "Oh, it's hopeless. It's useless. Well, there's no hope. I'm not. You know, I can't win. I have nothing to sell. Nobody answers the phone." Worst thing you can do. Get up every day, leave it on the mat.
Try something different.
Under those circumstances, and at the end of it, you're going to be better. Look, even if you didn't make it rain in that period, you're going to be better when that period's over. You're going to be better.
You'll be stronger. Good. So I don't know if you want to talk about this. We didn't really set this up, but your current company, the role you're playing in it,
Yes.
and how sales happen for you guys before COVID and now that COVID's in there. So tell us about your company, and you can brand it and all that kind of stuff, and tell us where to go and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just kind of set us up and then tell us what it looks like.
So I'm in a completely different industry.
Completely different.
The set point stuff we talked about, the
Yeah,
obviously oil and gas and petrochemical and all that, and engineered products for that. And now what I'm into is personal protection. We have a personal protection device that actually takes a cell phone case, and it's a backup battery, but it has a concealed stun gun in it. So we actually turn your cell phone into a self-defense weapon.
Wow.
It's got an app combined with it.
Yeah.
That when you use the product to defend yourself,
Sure.
it videos the assailant, sends the video to a private server.
Did your sales spike whenever all the riots started to happen?
And our sales went way up.
I can imagine.
People said, okay, we want something to protect ourselves, and it falls into the non-lethal category. So a lot of people don't want to carry a gun.
Sure.
And this is a real good alternative to that, in that it's the most powerful civilian stun gun that you can purchase in terms of its output power.
And again, what's it called?
It's called Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket.
And we have a website, yellowjacketcase.com.
Yellowjacketcase.com.
Yeah, and we're in the process of a capital raise for growth.
Yeah.
And we're going to move the manufacturing from China to the U.S. I'm super excited about that.
Sure.
So we're in that process. We expect to be fully funded. I've funded everything myself up to this point. We've got 8 patents on the product.
Very nice.
Global patents, all kind of stuff. And we've done some designs, but we've post funding, we're moving the manufacturing here, and everything's going to be made in America. And then we've got 5 new products we're launching with this product.
Very cool.
And
y'all started the company how long
So right
ago?
now we only sell. We started the company about 4 years ago, but really up to this point, it's just been like making one model at a time.
Sure.
Bolstering the intellectual property,
Yeah.
IP, and testing the market.
Yeah.
Getting market validation, proof of concept. So we've done all those things.
That's beautiful.
And for about the last 7 months, 8 months, we've been in this capital raise process.
Sure.
And that we're getting really close to closing out. I think either December or January we'll be funded. Then we're going to make everything in America, and I'm really proud of that.
That's awesome, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the capital raising process, there's some sales involved in making that happen.
Hey man, look.
Talk to us about that.
To get someone to let go of the kind of money we're talking about.
Sure.
I mean, it's I don't know if sales is the right word, because even though it technically, by definition, I would say falls under that.
Sure.
But it's really about authentically bringing value, authentic value, right?
Okay.
Legitimate, authentic value, and all the work that we put into the company so far, all the work that we put into the future that we're building.
Sure.
With this company, and our capacity to communicate that in an effective way.
That's what I was about to say. Communicating it in an effective way is where I see the sales part coming in.
That's a great point. It technically is, but
and I've never been on that side of what you're talking about.
But I can tell you, I think we did such a good job in our conservative approach to the projections going forward and the number of units that we didn't start out trying to, okay, we need this much money, so let's build some financials to prove we need this much money. We built from the ground up what we think we can do in terms of sales per product over time.
Yeah.
And then we built it from there.
Yeah.
And it's an authentic financial detail projection.
Yeah.
And then we have a full business plan that goes with it.
That's good.
And all the projections out for the next 5 years. And I'm gonna tell you, I went personally super conservative, because I like to deliver on what I say, and then exceed it. So we believe we're under projecting, and actually everybody we've shown it to thinks we're under projecting too.
That's good.
So
that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Under promise, over deliver.
And we want to meet our commitments, particularly to somebody who's trusting us with their money as an investment.
Absolutely. Well, good. And so it's Yellow Jacket Case.
Yellow Jacket Case, and we're on Instagram. It's Yellow Jacket Case.
Okay.
And on Facebook, it's Yellow Jacket Case.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've only got a limited number of models right now for just a few iPhones.
Sure.
But once we make it here, we're going to have it for all the Samsungs, all the iPhones, and some other models. Like there's a phone called Plus One. It's the number one phone in India, which is a huge market.
Very cool. Yeah, huge market.
And then South America, a big one is a company called Blue, B-L-U. So these people are wanting us to make cases for their phones because those markets are international, huge markets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot going on with that. I'm excited about that. And this thing, Dwayne, I think we can make a difference in reducing sexual assaults, sex trafficking, possibly have an impact in a positive way on, reducing negative crime statistics against women.
That's good. That's a great mission.
Got some cool stuff.
That's a great mission.
Cool stuff in the works.
So it's phenomenal to see the journey. I mean, I've seen a lot of the path. I came in after you were CEO at Set Point, but I heard the great stories, and we've had great conversations in many instances about what it takes to succeed in this industry of selling.
Not to interrupt you on that point.
No, please.
What's neat about that, because my journey, we're talking about my journey some, and when I became president at DeSalle Mag, our company's size was like 16 million in annual revenue. Yeah. And then like 3.5 years later, we're like 48 million. And then we ended up selling the company to a Dutch company, acquiring another company, and all of a sudden we're like 500 employees. And I was used to speaking to a room full of people, 20 people, in a room full of engineers or sales guys or whatever, 20, 30 people. Sure. Now all of a sudden I've got 200 people in a room. Yeah. And to be able to effectively communicate to a bigger group is a lot harder than it is to a small group. And when I say effectively communicate, I mean that I want to have these meetings. Yeah. And I want to affect a change after the meeting. You know what I'm saying? I want to have an impactful dialogue with these people to the extent that, okay, this is the new mission, let's go. And to be able to communicate that in a solid way, I didn't feel like I was qualified. We grew so big, so fast. And my whole journey has been about self-training, self-teaching, continuing to grow as I grew, and so we hired your company. Yeah, that's when I came into the picture. Me and my management team weren't that great at public speaking. We were okay. I mean, I could communicate. Y'all did great. And then you came in, and I thought you did a fantastic job. And I remembered signing that form that said I couldn't hire you from the company when we contracted y'all. Sure. And I'm thinking the whole time, man, I need this guy on our team. I need him here training us because we're growing so fast. Sure. How to teach these guys leadership, better communication, sales training, all the things. Yeah, yeah. And so, for the sake of the audience, I was able to. I talked to you about it. He said, "I'm not supposed to talk to you about that, Joey. Call the company." I said, "All right, I'll call the company." Yeah. And we have a conversation, and so look, I'd like to hire your man Dwayne Huff. I have an opening. I think it'd be really good for him and his family. I would appreciate if you would not try to block that. Yeah. And they go, well, would you still use us for some training and blah blah blah? Of course I would. Sure. And next thing you know, Dwayne's on the team. That's right, man. Cheers, man. And what a great opportunity, because and just for the audience sake, just my journey. If I haven't told this story on the podcast before, I spent the first part of my 12 years doing this as a contract trainer, and then supplemented that with building new relationships, right? Yeah. And when you found me, we had that conversation, but it was also that I'd been on the road so much, and I loved it. I really did. Yeah. And I was passionate about what I was doing. Yeah, you weren't expecting some guy to try to hire you. I wasn't. And so it was a couple of things going on, and I said, Joey, I appreciate the offer, man. I said, but I'm doing my thing, man. I'm in my place. Yeah. And I don't know that I want to come off the road. I said, however, I'm about to have our third child. My wife's about to have our third child. Yeah. And so from that standpoint, it did work out. Yeah. That's cool. And it's like, because my second son, when he was born, I went on the road 12 years ago, and he didn't know me for the first 2 years of his life. Right. And I did not want that for my daughter, especially after she was born, and we made that bonding connection. So I called Joey up after he left the door open. He said, because I told him no, thank you.
But he said, well, leave the door open, just like Mr. Bagger did for you.
Bagger did, that's right.
I mean, it came full circle, you know what I'm saying? And you said, keep the mind open, and if something changes, give me a call. And it did, and so I did. And I'm gonna tell you, I really appreciate the opportunity on so many levels, but I think the biggest level I appreciated on is I got to see all of the inner workings and human dynamic of being inside of a company.
A big growing company.
A big growing company, and having to be responsible and accountable for the results.
Well, a big company that we just integrated two companies too. They had a lot of dynamics going on, man.
No, it did. You know, and I couldn't have asked for a more perfect storm because now when I do my training, there's so much more depth. And I don't assume things.
You know.
And I know.
You know.
And I know how to navigate those things, and I would have never had that opportunity.
Well, that's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a win-win situation. We've kept the relationship, and I've seen you grow through things. You've seen me grow through things. And it all comes back down to this, is that, and we were talking about this before the shoot here, it really comes down to the principles of leadership. Caring, serving, supporting, going the distance, making sure everybody on your team is taken care of. Because you know when you do that, you'll succeed.
Giving people the tools that they need to succeed and get out of their way. And most managers want to be a boss and kick their feet up and talk down to people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's so much need for leadership training in all industries, and for sales training and communication training. And so you should be, I mean, if people would actually step up and invest in their people the way they should, there's not enough hours in the day
you know, in all fairness, it's so many times training is they're being sold training that it's not going to take, it's not going to last, because the support's not in place to make it take long term.
Which is why
and so they throw thousands of dollars.
That's why I hired you, because I wanted it to be
you wanted it to be you wanted it to be
integrated.
So consistency, accountability, right? And anyway, so no, definitely, and I really appreciate the conversation and your perspective on sales and what makes us able to succeed no matter who we are, what our situation or circumstances find. But if we have the right attitude, the right vibrations, the right focus, and the dedication and commitment and consistency, there's nothing we can't do.
That's absolutely correct.
And sales is the best job out there, in my opinion.
It is awesome. But a lot of people think sales is, I want to be a sales guy, I'm going to take people to lunch, I'm going to play golf, and blah, blah, blah. And they really don't realize that you have to deal with a lot of rejection. The work that it takes to be really good at what you do, and the discipline, and the follow-up, and the relationship building, and there's a lot to it. But truly, a lot of people get into it because they think it's fun and cool, and you don't have to do much. And that is totally wrong. To be successful at it, it's a hard job.
Well, one thing
but it is a rewarding job.
It is a very rewarding job, and one thing I want to push, I want to go back to as we start to wrap this up, is this: one of the most critical things, and I wish I'd have known this to the level you did back when I was in my early. I think I learned it in pharmaceutical sales because I was forced into it. But you took it upon yourself to push through that discomfort. There's no situation out there where if you're going to be good, you're not going to face some kicks in the teeth, some punch in the guts, some discomfort, some chewing out, some don't bother me, some no thanks. You're going to have some difficult conversation. It's going to hurt. But I always like to say this. One of the best pieces of advice anybody gave me in my career early on, they said, Dwayne, what would you do if you knew that you could not fail? And I thought that was great advice at that point. It opened my mind to the possibilities. My vibrations went up. But I realized that was a very stupid question. Because we're going to fail. And in sales, we're going to fail over and over and over and over and over again.
And I always hated to lose. But you're going to lose some. And here's the thing that I would tell anybody in sales. The ones that you lose, the big ones, the hard ones, the one you really wanted, the one you fought for, the big order, whatever, the important thing that you lost, man, analyze the hell out of that, man.
Evaluate it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Analyze
and most people run away from it.
Study what you did right, study what you did wrong, think about it. Listen, even look, if the customer will let you, say, man, I come in peace.
That's right.
We're
not going to do this deal.
I didn't deserve your business because you didn't get it, so I didn't deserve it.
Right.
Why did you buy from that guy? Help me understand. Help me get better. People don't do that kind of thing.
No, they don't.
I'm telling you, that's huge, bro.
That's ego.
Is huge.
It's ego. Bro.
That's huge.
You know, and one of the things that I think I realized over time,
and you do those kind of things, you won't lose that next big one. Most likely.
Well, not only that, but the whole thing about what would you try if you knew you could not fail, I think it matured in me, and the question became, what would you try if you knew you were going to fail it was going to hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to want to quit, but the next morning you get up, wake up refreshed, and you're going to go back at it again. What are you going to pursue then?
Yeah.
And I think
that's a better way to ask him.
Well, to your point is that if you can find something where you believe in yourself, you believe in the company supports you, and you can give it everything you got and realize that you can make a difference, or you're passionate about it, like you mentioned.
That's right.
That's what you go for.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fail.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you don't stop long enough to analyze and learn from it.
Well, another great thought is this.
Okay.
I think with all the technology changes and all these younger people now that have this, everything is instant gratification, man. They can get instant information, instant everything, instant. And the things I'm talking about, the things you're talking about today are not instant.
Right.
You have to work, be patient. Mm-hmm. It might take 2 to 3 years for you to be, as good as you can possibly be in the craft of the industry or whatever it is that you are. And you've got to put in that work. You've got to get there. You have to be patient. You're not going to get instant, promotions and instant raises, and just be patient.
Instant business.
Put in the work and be patient. A couple, 3 years, and you'll figure out if you're in the wrong environment. If you're doing 100% of yourself, what you can do yourself, 100%, working, doing those extra sales calls in the afternoon and not shutting down early. Every little thing you can do. If you're doing that, you'll know you're eventually in the wrong environment. You just make a change until you find the right environment.
That's right.
But you bring that wherever you go.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit in America.
I agree, man. Thank you so much. This has been a great time, and I appreciate your wisdom and your insights, and thanks for sharing
Thank you, Dwayne.
selflessly with us.
Honor to be on your podcast.
Awesome.
Bro. Thank
Cheers,
you.
bro.
Likewise.
All right.